Well, I guess if they didn't close the school on account of weather, we better get on down the road.
Yellow.
Hey, Elmer, I can't get over there today on account of the weather. The road's flooded. Do you think you could take care of the video for me?
Yep, boy, I got you. Don't worry about it. Just get home. Hey there, folks. How you doing today? Welcome back to the channel. Please bear with any background racket that you might hear throughout this production. We are on location where life happens, and sometimes there's stuff going on right out there that can be heard in here. The boy apologizes for the fact that he is not here today. It is a real turd floater out there this morning, and he wasn't even able to get the kids down to the school on account of a road being closed. So he's not here yet. He asked me to fill in, so here we are. The boy had told me that he has been doing a series of videos for you folks on unfiltered fans-only content. And at first I was a bit concerned that it might have something to do with pouring gravy on his feet for money, but he assured me that it was on the up and up. So here we are. He said that these top 5 lists have been all the rage lately, and this was the next one he had in mind for you. He told me to remind you that the last video was on the top 5 ways to be a good Second Amendment ambassador to the new shooter, and that at that time he had mentioned that this would be the top 5 ways to be a good 2A ambassador to the non-shooter. So I told him I would be delighted to help. So here we go. Number 5 on our list: avoid being a tool. Check your ego at the door. Acting like a know-it-all or a blowhard will ruin your credibility with non-shooters. Yeah, most folks just don't want to put up with somebody who's on an ego trip. So if you're dealing with folks who are not like-minded in the ways of the Second Amendment or firearm possession, use, etc., ad nauseum, try not to be a jerk when you're talking to them. All right. Number 4 on our list: don't leave behind a big mess. Pick up after yourself. The old cliche of leave it better than you found it applies here. There is a YouTube personality known to the internet world as Mix-Up98. I'll get the boy to put something up over the screen here, but suffice it to say, this man is out in the desert in the same spot all the time, shooting cans of expired hominy and old sodas and cans of Barbasol and whatever else, blowing them up with his new toys. And he never leaves behind a mess. Anytime he puts out a new video, he's in the same spot he was in last time, but you don't see all the trash laying around from the last time he was there. Pick up after yourself. Leaving behind a debris field in the area where you go to shoot is going to aggravate anybody who sees it. Even if you're a shooter, you're probably going to get frustrated by somebody dumping their garbage out in the desert, but especially to folks that don't like our way of life, leaving a mess like this behind plants a real bad seed. Just don't do it. Pick up after yourself. Going hand in hand with number 4 is number 3, and that is to be considerate of the property of others. Even if you are in a public area, hunting on public land or shooting on public land. I know back in New Mexico, where I hail from, there was a lot of BLM land. Now, before you get carried away, that stands for the Bureau of Land Management, or at least it did up until recently, but that's a fight for another day. But the Bureau of Land Management operated this land, and it was public and open to the public, but often there were things like cattle leases that were conducted on this public property. So we must be mindful that if we are out in an area like that, we've got to consider the property of others. Case in point, place I used to go shoot when I was a young fella, had a cattle lease on it, and out by an old windmill well out there, they had a bunch of stock tanks full of water. And every once in a while, some jackwagon would go out there and shoot a hole in one of them tanks.
You jackwagon?
I don't think they understand the gravity of what they're doing when they shoot a hole in a water tank out in the middle of the desert that the cattle are needing for survival. I mean, this is not only is this inconsiderate and destructive of others' property, it's a downright criminal act. If you shoot a water tank and a bunch of cows die because they can't get no water, you should be held criminally liable. So don't shoot the water tanks or leave gates open when you're crossing properties. All right, enough about that. He told me not to go off on any tangents. Let's see. Number 2 on his list is welcome outsiders. You might have a neighbor. You know the guy I'm talking about, the one with the Bernie Sanders sticker on his Subaru. Deep down inside, under those crocheted pants, he's curious about the bookmark sticker on the back window of your pickup truck. If you made an effort to treat him like a person rather than a parasite, you might just win him over. Political differences aside, you might even find out that the two of you have something in common. At the very least, you probably both like craft beer. As the kids on the TikTok are quick to point out, no top 5 list is complete without an honorable mention. The honorable mention of today's video is to educate, don't intimidate. When a non-shooter reaches out to you for information, instead of trying to dismiss them, do your best to give them an informed answer. Also, don't try to scare them off. If you do, you will further distance them from the 2A community. And number one on our list of how to be a good Second Amendment ambassador to the non-shooter is be the example. Set the standard. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Be such a good example of the Second Amendment that anti-gunners, non-gunners, the public at large cannot find fault with you. Not only will you defeat their anti-gun rhetoric, but you will place doubt in their mind where it used to be. Before long, you will have them second-guessing everything that their liberal arts professor ever taught them. Be the example. Set the standard. Folks, that's it for the top 5 list. This is the first one of these that I've done, really. Well, I take it back. I did that one on the top 5 firearms everyone ought to have, but that was a long time ago. So if you enjoyed this, let the boy know. He's the one going to be putting this out on the internet. It ain't going to be me. So let him know what you thought. Let him know if you want to see old Uncle Elmer back on here anytime in the near future. Spoiler alert, I wasn't supposed to mention anything about this, but you might notice a nice looking pair of Ruger firearms sitting out here on the table in front of us. The boy has something up his sleeve. I can't wait for him to get back and share that with you. Until next time, folks, take care and God bless.